my name is William Bathgate. I am a computer science teacher at a secondary school and college, and I am also a freelance security consultant. After finishing my bachelor's in information systems, I was always very interested in web development and web design, and that led into a career as a web developer. It was right in the middle of the recession, and both my brother and my father were teachers. And my dad was like, William, you should maybe, spread your wings a little, have a look at other occupations. So I actually trained as a teacher. So I left web development and I trained as a IT teacher and fell into teaching computer science at GCSE and A level, and that was brilliant. And I loved it. And then about a year in, I wanted to keep challenging myself, keep learning, and so I started up a job as a sole trader. So I was a freelance web developer at that time, and I carried on with that on the side for about 5 years. Just developing my skills, meeting clients in Surrey, finding their needs and developing websites for them. So I continued my teaching career, and as that progressed, we're based fairly locally to Royal Holloway, which is known for the Information Security Group, ISG, and I started up a computer science club. And I had 2 students from ISG come along, and I was amazed at what they knew. And I was like, as a teacher, I want to be inspiring my students. I want to be on top of my game. And I saw these 2 university students, and I was like, I need to better myself. So out of my own pocket, I funded a master's in information security at Royal Holloway. So I wanted to get the best education possible. And I felt that Royal Holloway was a good place to study a master's. Now, during that time there, after about 2 years, I was thinking of perhaps changing career and pursuing penetration testing or security consultancy. And I was looking at job specifications and the requirements that were involved with that, and I think that was really, really important. And CREST popped up, as did OSCP. So I was like, right, those are the qualifications that were just coming up over and over in every job specification. So I knew, and also I was doing a security testing module in my 3rd year. So I wanted to enjoy the experience of the masters. I didn't want to rush it. It wasn't about getting a qualification. It was about the journey and getting the best education possible, and savoring the moment. So I actually did it distance learning. I was studying in the evenings. I remember studying cryptography up until about 2 a.m. in the morning, but I loved it. I remember talking to math teachers about the extended Euclidean algorithm, things like that. And I just really, really enjoyed it. And I did want to pursue a career as a penetration tester. So I set my targets on trying to get, OSCP and then CPSA, which would then give me CRT. So that was the plan, really. I did know that because I'd been a web developer for a bit, but as well as a teacher, I was lacking industry experience. So I started giving up my holidays to work with the networking team at the school and working on, they're part of a MAT, so they're in charge of management of many different schools. So I started working as a network engineer with them, and getting my hands a little bit dirty, playing with some hardware, and that was brilliant. So it's something that I could add to my CV. And then final year, I managed to pass early September. So COVID lockdown occurred at the end of my 3rd year of masters. And I used that as an opportunity to actually improve my penetration testing skills. So I would literally spend every waking moment in the OSCP Offensive Security Labs or on Hack the Box, just getting as much experience as possible, doing write-ups, and I sat OSCP, and unfortunately I failed in July in the third year. However, it was a learning experience, and a lot of it was about how I attacked the problem. I thought, yeah, I'll just work 24 hours non-stop, and that was not the best approach. So, come September, I had a few months extra practice, and I managed to pass it, which was a really big milestone for me. So then I had my set on CPSA, which I was hoping to pass in December of last year. Unfortunately, I failed, and I think a lot of that was due to perhaps a lack of actual penetration testing experience, which I then gained up after I left teaching, and I joined Deloitte. Absolutely amazing firm. I worked with a team in Ireland. They were incredible. My manager, unbelievably clever and nice guy, and that was the thing. The whole team, very, very intelligent, but very, very kind, nice people, and I gained so much experience there. And that allowed me to sit the CPSA just a few weeks ago and apply what I had learned. So at this point in time, and I want to continue developing my skills, getting better. So I've just signed up to a new course. It's a CRTO. It's by Rastermouse. So Red Team Operator, which has kind of got a focus on Active Directory. So and training in Cobalt Strike. So that'll be very exciting. The reason I decided to study for CPSA and CRT was when I was researching jobs. In the requirements, I would always see like CREST and check team leader and check member, and CREST just kept on coming up over and over and over again. They're very, very well respected in the UK, Australia, other countries, and I was like, if I want to get a really good job, I want to get a qualification from CREST. So, and I saw the entry CPSA, and I was like, well, obviously I'm entry. I need to study for that. So I had a look at the reading list, and a lot of it was content that I'd covered in my master's in information security, which is really, really helpful. However, it's important to go through the reading list and create flashcards. So as a teacher, I'm always getting my students to create flashcards, and then there's different apps out there where you can sort your flashcards in order of ones that you find most difficult. So therefore, you're making those connections in your memory, and it's going from short-term memory into long-term memory. It's overcoming something called Ebbinghouse's forgetting curve, where within a week you've forgotten about 80% of what you've learned. So by revisiting those topics that you're finding more and more difficult, it helps you retain it in your long-term memory. So I was like, well, I need to practice what I preach, and so I was implementing all of the revision techniques I teach my students at GCSE and A level for their exams, showing them how I'm revising for these exams as well. And so last year, unfortunately, I didn't pass, but I used that as an experience to it was all very foreign. I was in Pearson View Centre, sitting in a little booth, so a bit like a driving theory exam, a little bit daunting. And then up would pop these quite technical questions, but it gave me an experience. And so the second time around, I knew exactly what I had to do. So I knew the format, although the format is on the CREST website. However, I knew the format, and I was a little bit more familiar, a little bit more easy, more calm. Also, the reason I failed partly first time was I was juggling a lot of different tasks. So I was interviewing for jobs, I was doing my master's dissertation, I was teaching full-time job, I was a parent, I still am. And yeah, this time round, I wasn't studying anything other than CPSA. So, for example, even last year on my commute, which is about 45 minutes, I would record myself into my phone, reading off questions and answers, and I would revise, just listening to my voice for 45 minutes, and I'd pause and I'd try and answer the question. There's different ways, but this year I was literally just using Quizlet and just practice, trying to memorize, trying to make connections between different things, like default passwords and port numbers, and just trying to find connections and ways that I can remember things. And it worked quite well. Yeah, CPS CREST is just an extremely well-known and recognized organization, and even there's a school down the road called St George's College, I think, and they had a CREST speaker a few years ago, and a couple of my students were lucky enough, because we're quite close to them, were lucky enough to go and actually sit in on a talk, and I was like, oh, they're so lucky. I'd love to hear someone from CREST talk. I think teachers need to be educated themselves. We've got computer science at the moment, which is really good, and the specification has changed within the past couple of years to a GCSE to include network security, which kind of does teach some of the fundamentals of cybersecurity. However, I think it'd be really good if there's an update to the A-level computer science with a slightly stronger emphasis on cybersecurity and information security. So as a teacher, I try and kind of inspire and enthuse my students. So I will teach the curriculum, but I will have a one-off lesson where we'll look at hack explaining, or if they're A-level students, perhaps I'll show them try hack me, because that kind of leads in, and then once they're kind of slightly more familiar with that, then they can have a look at hack in the box. So yeah, I think a lot of it needs to be the teachers needs to be kind of introducing cybersecurity. So as a teacher, I think it's extremely important that we ourselves are educated, and that's with industry's best practice, really. So we need to go out into industry, work, learn what is going on, and then help prepare our students as best as we can, so that we're training up the next generation of cybersecurity specialists. I teach computer science at secondary school and college, and part of computer science is really, it's not necessarily about computers, it's more about solving real world problems using computational methodologies. And I think there's this guy called Edgar Dijkstra, and he says computer science is no more about computers than astronomy is about telescopes. And I think that's what he's getting at as well, that you may use these computers, but it's actually about potentially developing these algorithms that can make our lives better, more efficient, and solve real world problems. So day to day, what I do as a teacher, so a GCSE computer science, I teach a particular exam board called OCR. They're doing J277, and there's 2 exams, and it's reflected in A level as well. There's 2 components. A level's got a third. I'll go on to that in a second. But GCSE is split into computer systems, which is component 1, and then algorithms and programming, which is component 2. So computer systems covers like computer architectures, the components within a computer, such as CPU, RAM, and ROM, how that all kind of works together. There's ethics and morals included in that. There's now network security, which covers really basic threats to networks. I actually teach them a little bit extra, so I will talk about, they have to learn about TCP/IP protocol suite, which is fantastic, but I'll go a little bit extra and maybe teach them a little bit about 3-way handshakes, and then that can lead into like SYN flood and like DOS attacks and stuff like that. Cryptography, very simple so symmetric and asymmetric. They learn functional and procedural programming, so different programming paradigms. We primarily teach Python for that. I choose that because I think it's very flexible and I relate it to it's very popular, it's quite easy to learn. It allows them to be slightly sloppy and get away with it. And it can be used in a number of different situations. And I think once they've learned the main principles, then they can apply it to other languages quite easily. Learn about searching and sorting algorithms and computational thinking, which quite often students think, it's actually one of the best things that they learn about computer science. So it's like thinking ahead or decomposition, so decomposing a large problem into smaller, more manageable chunks, abstraction, visualization, things like that. And then at A level, we have component 3, and that's largely up to the teachers what they pick, at least within OCR. And I get my students, because I've got experience in web development, and it has to be of a certain complexity. I get them to create a website from the ground up in PHP and MySQL, and then it does CRUD, so create, read, update, and delete, with a database that they've created in PHP MyAdmin. So they need to know SQL for that as well. And that's quite tough for them, actually, because, and I think with cybersecurity, you need to be an expert in a number of fields, really, to be able to do it efficiently. So we can try and introduce cybersecurity, earlier on in curriculum, like in Key Stage 3, so Year 7, 8, and 9, and Key Stage 4. However, they do need that fundamental understanding of like networks, databases, so they can understand how it works and then look for vulnerabilities and exploit it. So both GCSEAs A level, they also study representations of data, so how images, numbers, audio is represented in binary, and also like binary arithmetic and operations and things like that. So as a teacher, it's extremely fulfilling to see a 11-year-old, who might be interested in computers, and then see that passion and that experience develop over the years, and then they're leaving as an 18-year-old, hopefully equipped for the world, and they've got direction, they've got drive, and then a lot of them go on to study computer science or information security at really good universities, and it's really good to see. So I try my best to inspire them, to help them follow their passions, because it's such there's so many different careers and different parts to it. So I always refer to it like computer science and cybersecurity is like a jigsaw puzzle. So Key Stage 3 and GCSE you might get a few little pieces, then A level you get a few more, and however, there's still an infinite amount to learn. So you've got to be passionate, you not worry about failing, have a growth mindset. So if you do get knocked down, don't say, oh, I'm rubbish, just put in the effort, keep with it, enjoy the journey, and don't compare yourself to others as well, because you might see Bobby over there, well, good for Bobby, but that doesn't affect your journey in cybersecurity or computer science. Yeah, so over the last few years, I haven't actually, unfortunately, seen an increase in the amount of students that want to take up cybersecurity. It's stayed pretty much the same, and the same, like there's gender equality, gender gap, with the proportion of males that take it in comparison to females and stuff like that. But so we try our best. We've got a good amount of members of female computer science teachers, which hopefully might engage more females to take it. But when I was working in industry, half of my team, it was a split 50-50. So perhaps it's in the classroom, and that we need to be more equal. And I think a lot of it could come from the parents. So I'm not sure if parents are recognizing that cybersecurity is important, or there definitely has been a shift in the curriculum, which is fantastic. So the exam boards are trying to kind of put an emphasis on cybersecurity, which is good. For example, with network security being introduced, but I think there needs to be, I think people need to, an awareness needs to be created of how important it is that we train people in cybersecurity. I know there's a lot of women in cyber initiatives. I've got quite a few friends in those, which is fantastic as well. And I think largely a lot of it is also down to teachers and teaching their lessons. So as I said before, the teachers themselves need to be trained and they need to be educated in cybersecurity, so they're not just sticking with stuff that they're safe and happy with. They need to be constantly learning the latest vulnerabilities, latest advances in technology, and staying on top of that. I think society is becoming more aware of it, which is good. But I think it's only parents that are kind of working in industry that kind of think, oh yeah, I want my son or daughter to do computer science. Obviously, the student themselves needs to have a passion for it as well. So I always try my best just to kind of make my lessons as exciting as possible, get students excited about it, so then I can show them what the possibilities are, the big picture really. So even 11-year-olds, I'll show them what they're learning and how that could lead into a career when they leave education. First of all, explore your passions and be curious. I think that's extremely important, because if you're passionate about something, then it's not going to feel like work. You'll feel like you're playing, and you'll enjoy it, and it's an addiction. I often find that myself. If I'm trying to solve a problem, by trying to find what the vulnerability is, and trying to exploit that, and it's perhaps not working. Well, why is that? So that curiosity is extremely important, and persistence as well. So not giving up really. I would also say connect with people. So connect with family members that might work in industry. Ask them if they've got any friends. See if you can talk to them. Once you're 18, create a LinkedIn profile. Start communicating with people that already working in industry, and ask them for their honest opinion. And what I have found with cybersecurity is it's such a lovely community. Everyone's very, very friendly, very supportive. Everyone wants to help each other out. So even just the other day on LinkedIn, I get people from all over the world just asking me for pointers and advice, and I'll happily give it out, because people did the same for me when I was starting out. So there's many. I would also talk to recruiters. They're a wealth of knowledge, and there's a lot of really good ones out there. I won't name drop any, but you know who you are. So there's lots of really, really helpful people out there that will help you along your journey. Lots of mentors as well. Quick search online can be really helpful. I would also look at job posts and requirements for those, so that you can see what the requirements are and what people are, what you need to have to be successful in that job, because that way, you can start training yourself up, and look at people within your network. What qualifications are they studying? So they might be 15 years ahead of you in their career, but there's no reason why you can't be trying to complete the same qualifications that they are, and then upskill yourself. I would also say you can join communities like OWASP, volunteer. So I was talking to a student just today. He said that his uncle works at KPMG in cybersecurity, and I was like, give up your holiday, go and work. That's a excellent connection to have. don't be afraid of hard work, working for free. I did it, in my 30s. Giving up, making a sacrifice because I could have been spending that time with my two daughters, but I was gaining experience, and I think that's extremely important. And I think people, need to put in the effort, need to work hard, and then they can really enjoy and set themselves up in a good organization where they can learn best practice, learn from the best, really. Some of the resources that I would suggest people looking to pursue a career in computer science or information security are, so in terms of websites, I would start off with, you could do Code Academy and learn some Python, which would be really good. You could do Hacksplaining, which will teach you, it's really nice, it holds your hand and guides you through some, for example, OWASP top 10. I would then also have a look at Try Hack Me. Again, that holds your hand and guides you through various stages. Then I would move on to Hack the Box, and that will get you up to a fairly good entry level. I would also go through some Portswigger labs where you can use Burp Suite. There's also other just good resources like Khan Academy for learning about cryptography. There's plenty of resources on Coursera and Udemy. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing them right. And LinkedIn. There's courses there. So there's that's something that's absolutely incredible about the World Wide Web nowadays. We've got so much information and easy access to all of this excellent tutorials, really, that you can follow and learn from. And then in terms of books, one of my favorite books is Everyday Cryptography by Keith Martin. Again, if you're looking at cryptography, anything by Simon Singh or Fred Piper, a couple of others like David Sutton's Information Security Management Principles. And like cybersecurity, there's so many different fields. So you might be interested in red teaming or blue team, or you might be more interested in the management aspects of it, and the resources are good, and that can be, and it's challenging. You always want to be challenged. You don't want to be within your comfort zone. You want to be challenged so that you potentially fail, because then you're pushing yourself, and then you just keep pushing and challenging yourself. So you want to be uncomfortable during your learning, and then that is where, and you need to be thinking, and that's where the learning occurs.